where he says, I never lose, either I win or I learn. It's just a very freeing experience. When you have that mentality, forget about what the result's going to be. You think about it, what do we really sell? We sell a feeling and an experience. We sell a feeling of teaching people how money works. If they say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, who's really the dum-dum? Right. Seriously. No, I love my job. I see myself doing it for the rest of my life. I'm happy with my whatever income per year and my 2 weeks of paid vacation or whatever it may be. That's fine. Your job isn't to convince them that it's different. Your job is to ask them, who do you know that's maybe more entrepreneurial than you? It's okay. You don't have to push ropes. Just start looking for people looking for you. And then this is the topic of this. This is great. This was right after they wanted me to talk about hitting the new ring and all that. We hit it in July of last year. And I use this as a reference because, did you mention Tom Brady today? I think you did mention Tom Brady today. They asked Tom Brady what his favorite ring was. And what was cool about this is we were, right after this, we flew to Maui for the Hawaii trip, and my wife and I left and then landed right at halftime, watched the second half of the Super Bowl. And did you guys watch the game? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, you remember that, like, basically Tom Brady almost won it again on the last play? Yeah. That was insane. Yeah. And they asked him, what's your favorite ring? Anybody want to take a guess at what the answer was?
The next one.
You got it. That's it. And that needs to be yours, too.
He was also MVP of the NFL last year. That's 40
yes,
years
he was.
old.
Yes, he was. And that's what needs to be for you. So what I would say is where you're at, if you are not yet at your minimum wage ring, which is your blue ring, I would get that one as quickly as possible. I did say minimum wage ring. Okay. Get that one as quickly as possible. Why? Why does the ring matter? Because it validates what we do. That's it. I only wear mine for meetings. I'm not a guy who cuts his grass with his ring on. I'm not one of those guys. I know a bunch of them, and I tease them all, and it's all good. That's not me. I mean, going to the swim club with, whatever. That's not me. But anyway, are there any questions here while I flip through some different presentations?
I have a question.
All right, fire away.
Like the millionaire doctor, did you ask him to be introduced to his financial planner or his accountant?
You know what's funny? Well, let me back up and I'll tell you this here. Basically, 18 years of doing this, I've never made a cold call. I've never made a cold call. So I met this person through a friend of a friend of a friend. So to answer your question, how I got in the door with him, he was one of the people to attend first appointments. That's what he was. And usually the way I ask, as far as attend appointments, you can qualify different ways. But I just use the bad and the macho. And honestly, here's how I really get a prospect list out of people. If you were to get married today, who would be at your wedding? Because you know what that does? Clears the fluff. Yeah. If you were to renew your vows, who would you invite to that wedding? Because you know what people do? Sometimes when they don't have confidence at the beginning, they give you their beater list. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's call these people. They're great. I swear. If you were to get married today, again, who would be at your wedding? And that's how you get the real people there. Okay? Did I answer your question? He was one of the people on that list.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Those 10 people that you went out and saw, were any of them sent videos?
I'm going to get into that after this. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to dig videos. We'll hit videos hardcore. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm used to like a 30, 60, 90-day probation period where we own our own estate agency. Now I forgot to ask you. The 60 days, after the 60 days, you just try to, if they don't become one of your associates, just make them as a client, correct?
Well, they become a client no matter what.
First.
Right. Let me ask you something. Yeah. Let me ask you something real quick, and I'll ask everybody this. How awesome is it when you take someone out in the field and their prospect says to them, this is amazing, do you have your money there? And they say, no, my money's with Edward Jones. That meeting's over.
Yeah.
So I will not take anyone out in the field unless they're a client. Period. I don't care if they save $10 a month into a Betterment account. I will not take them out in the field unless they're a client. Because they're not advocates of our business. Period. They can say, oh, well, I really like what we do. Well, then why don't you own it? That's it. I mean, I can tell you the bulk of my retirement is funded into IULs. We've got IULs for our kids. Well, I wish I could have one on my dog before they pass. I mean, it's my niece, my nephew, they have those, my parents. I mean, it's just, we own the stuff. We have a lot of our money with Folio. We have a lot of our money in Betterment. We own it. So, you know what happens is when you start getting into big dollar clients, which we'll talk a little bit about, They really want to know that you believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I address it. See, I'm a big fan of objecting when I know they're going to object. I'm just big on that. So I say, look, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking to yourself, if this is so good, do you have your own money? If you want, I can pull my statements up. No, Guillermo, we're good. Sounds good. Where do I go? What's the next step? So it's very, very, anyway, any other questions? Cool, so let's talk about the ugly stuff, adversity. I'm going to tell you my story, how I started. I was 21 years old. I was a personal trainer. I know it doesn't look like it now, but I was a personal trainer. Used to work at GNC and bartend, and I had a real hard time getting licensed, okay? Angela saw this when I covered this in Atlanta, and because this is something you're going to have to face. Adversity is going to happen to you no matter what. Whether you're in this business or not, adversity is going to happen to you. And you know, here was my first 3 attempts at life and health. And in the state of Ohio, you have to get a C minus minus, which is a 70 to pass the test. Okay, so I got a 68, a 64, and 66. Well, when you took this back in early 2000, guess what you had to do? There was no online study. You had to sit through a 40-hour course and listen to a professor that was worse than my chemistry professor was at the University of Bowling Green. It was awful. So I also had to take off of work. So I wasn't making money that week, and I had to sit there for 40 hours to listen to a guy. You fail it 3 times, then guess what you have to do again? You got to go back to the class again. So, some of you guys could say, and I'm a big picture guy too, by the way. Some of you act like this, like I used to. Why does this stuff happen to me? Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Everybody should feel sorry for me. Let me put feeling depressed on Facebook. God. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, we literally sometimes live our lives, not all of us, but society lives our life by what Facebook thinks of our posts. It's insane. So I go back, I got a new suit. That's why I said licensing doesn't just cost $1,200. It costs a little bit more than that. So I went back, you guys see the numbers, I'm thinking, man, I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse. So that was life and health. Guess what I had to do after that? Go back to school. Go back to school. And it was like $400 a course. There was no Excel 24.95 or ExamFX or whatever you guys use. It was a totally different deal. And then I started thinking, I'm like, man, is this business for me? Wow. Man, I see these people passing their test on the first try. Oh, maybe it must be me. I don't know. We'll see. Let's try it again. So, it gets good. It gets good, guys. I'm telling you. So let me back up here. How many of you would have quit at attempt 2? You can imagine what my buddies were telling me. I knew you couldn't do this. You're an idiot. Who's ever going to invest with you? Are you kidding me? Man, you're a personal trainer. Go hit the gym. Eat some more protein bars. You don't know anything. Seriously. This is what people were telling me. Now, you notice I stopped at 8. Because I swore that the testing centers were cursed in Cincinnati. I swore. Something had to be up. I'm like, I almost grabbed this computer monitor and threw it out the window at that point. I mean, I lost it. I lost it. So I said, you know, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to drive 2 hours north to Columbus, Ohio. And I took the test in Columbus, Ohio. And I got That's crazy, isn't it? I drove up there and attempt number 9. This is what I'm talking about, the 40-yard field goal. Angela comes up to me and he says to me, I think it was in Atlanta, didn't you take your test like 38 times?
That's true. And I already told my team that I had it wrong.
I'm like,
I felt
come
so
on,
bad
man,
about
come on. I'm not double digits.
But that's just the life stuff.
So all I'm getting at is when you see this, how many times are you going to have to face adversity? It's going to happen to you. I think I'm a great people person, but I'm terrible at taking tests. And I know the positive thinking you should never say, whatever. I'm not great at taking tests. And I accept that. We're all good. Like, I have my assistant who's very organized because I am not. I am not good at following up with life policies and sending this and signing this form. That's why I have an assistant. I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer. I get out on appointments, close deals. Somebody else fills all my apps out, enters all my FNAs in. I don't deal with any of that stuff. Make enough money, you can pay somebody to do that. Now, I know you think to yourself, well, that's spending money that I can't spend. Well, then go make more money. That's it. Go do what you're good at. John Maxwell says that. Don't worry about being a good lefty if you're a good righty. Be the best righty you can be and delegate everything else you can possibly do. and you guys got great leadership that says the same.
Amen.
So we passed this, I felt like this. I felt like, I wore sunglasses indoors. I was feeling pretty good. David Beckham, it's looking smooth. So, bracelets, I love them. Anyway, Series 6, disaster. 63, didn't pass any test the first try, is what I'm trying to tell you. And then 65 wasn't up there because I didn't want to waste another page on it. But the Series 65, what I realized after I failed that 3 times is that in the state of Ohio, it's what's considered a hot state, meaning that once you pass your Series 6, you're immediately grandfathered in as a Series 65.
Oh.
It only took me 3 tries figuring that out. I said, thanks, leadership, for the heads up on that one. But the point is, I didn't pass any test. Pass any test the first try. Some people would look at that as an utter failure. I look at that as, thank God I went through it, because then I really found out what I was made out of. That's the way I look at it. So as you look at this, I'm just going to ask you what kept me going was this. And I'm going to ask you what keeps you going. Is I constantly reminded myself of if time and money were no issue, I would what? I bet right now 95% of the crap that you're worried about would go away if money and time were no issue. And the other 5% may be health related. That's about it. What else would you have to worry about? How much more confident would you be? How many more other people do you think you may appeal to? It's huge. It's huge. And fortunately, we're in a business. You realize there's multiple people in this room that make multiple 6 figures a year. That's kind of cool. And then the neat thing is all you have to do is listen, get out of your own way. Don't listen to yourself, because what listening to me did had $15 in my checking account when I started here. And I finally, it only took me, I'm a quick learner, it only took me a year of listening to Bill Mitchell to realize, hey, wait a minute, he's a millionaire. I have $15 in my bank account. Maybe I should stop listening to myself and listen to him. And things changed. Same thing, but I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn. Same thing happened with Tom when he said, you got to get on this video system. You got to learn. You got to duplicate. You got to be more efficient with your time. You got to be in multiple cities at the exact moment that you're in Chicago. I didn't get that. Now I get it. Okay? So anyway, if you get an ownership, and this is a great question. I don't remember where I heard this, but this was unbelievable. If you could have ownership in the world's largest industry, even the smallest percentage, would you take it? See, we're selling this thing like it's the rump roast of whatever. We need to sell this like it's the filet mignon and the best filet mignon out there. Period. Period. If somebody says to you, oh yeah, well I heard this. Oh, well I heard that. Well I saw. I don't hear that anymore because I'm proactive and send them stuff before they come and meet with me. So when someone comes to our office for an overview, how money works event, a BPM, whatever it may be, nobody walks through the doors with their arms crossed. Have you ever seen that? Yes. People come in, oh, what's this all about? What'd you invite me to? We're going to talk a ton about that. I love handling the objection on the front end. It's almost that don't come in the office unless you know what we do.
Right. Yeah.
So how cool would it be if people walked in knowing exactly what they were going to, your ratios would go through the roof. And that's what we're trying to do here. And this is something you got to put into your mental Rolodex, mindset-wise. You all have a chance of having ownership in the world's largest industry. There's only 3 that are measured in the trillions of dollars. Retail, real estate, financial services. 2 and 3 together are barely half of what our industry is. What are you going to do with it? You going to think about it? Figure it out? Try and find something wrong with it? Call your attorney? Look on Google search to see what you can find? I mean, really, what are you going to do? If you Google automobiles are terrible, you will find that automobiles are terrible. If you Google automobiles are excellent, you will find automobiles are excellent. What are you looking for? That's what we've got to shift. When you get clear on what you're looking for, you obviously start moving in that direction. And then I want to remind you, the first visit on the way to paradise. That's it. Where did I get this from? There's a book that is called Relentless by Tim Grover. Get it like tonight. That book is the 2nd best book I have ever read in my career behind Think and Grow Rich. And you guys all know that. And here's the thing, we're in Chicago, so how ironic is this? Do you know who Tim Grover is? Okay, one person does. Anybody else?
No.
Anthony, who's Tim Grover?
He was Michael Jordan's personal coach, physical training coach.
Yep.
The guy who made him great, well, helped make him.
Nobody knows who Michael Jordan is in Chicago, right? If you don't, just leave. He was his personal coach. The book's called Relentless. And I'm on my 2nd read of it now. And that book is unbelievable, and this quote came right out of it.
Follow him on, what's that thing called? Twitter. He's amazing. He was his coach. He was Dwayne Wade's coach. He was Kobe Bryant's coach.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was a machine. He was a machine, and what he talks about is the mindset. And it's really, really good. So, anyway, any questions on that? Who's ready to talk about videos? All right, so let's talk about what your thoughts are on videos. I can't wait to hear this, and please don't hold back. Give me the truth. What are your thoughts on videos? How are we on time, Angela?
You're great, man.
Okay.
You're perfect. You have as much time as you
It
need.
gets to the point.
Okay, now give me the negative side. Why don't we like videos? What's the negative side? Everybody's hands goes up. All right, I'm in. John.
I shared it with my wife, right? I said, hey, I'm starting from this, that. And she just kind of said it from a perspective of, so she looked at the end of wealth at the time. She's like, if I don't care about money, or, she's like, gave perspectives. I guess I'm trying to be not negative, but just more, she was trying to say, you have to be very specific who you send certain ones, is what her interpretation as a layman outside, so I'd love to get your perspective.
I would totally agree with that.
It's true.
I would totally agree.
100%.
Here's the thing on videos, guys. You're the offensive coordinator of your team. Those videos are plays. Those videos are plays. You got to know which play to use for which. Now, the cool thing is there's some very vanilla videos that you can kind of instrumentally send, and I'll give you some, that guy sounds great. I'll give you some tremendous examples of that and what it's led to, but the key word out of this first page is leverage. You got to leverage. And I didn't understand that. I just knew that I was tired. I'm going to give you some of my experiences. Anybody, go ahead, buddy.
We said a negative.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't think this, but I know when I hear is it's going to promote laziness, and people aren't going to work as hard because they think they can just video somebody. Obviously, a person who says that has never sent a video and never heard how it's explained properly. But I know that's a misconception that people have, that it will promote people from actually doing the hard work, that you really have to do the hard work. Otherwise, it won't work right.
Right. There's no magic pill. Just like you can't go online and buy a potion and all of a sudden you lose 20 pounds tomorrow. You got to work. And actually what this does is this is actually, after dissecting and mentally processing, I'll just ask you guys, have you ever had somebody come to a meeting and then they leave excited and then you never hear from them again?
Yeah.
Why is that?
You don't believe
The
it.
information
Yeah.
left them.
Okay.
Overwhelming.
Either one, they spoke to someone,
Ah.
or the excitement dies out. And the excitement actually.
They got rejected, you didn't like how.
Yeah.
Or
It wasn't
how
for
about-
them.
Or how about this? I saw something online.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah.
that. You're gonna saw it online saying, oh, I'll share that.
Here's what I realized. Whether you proactively send someone information or you wait for them to come to an event, they're going to research you no matter what. The internet is something, and Angela and I were talking about, he mentioned how people think. Well, when I started in 2000, I had an email address and I had one of those gel phone Nokias. That was like a brick. It was like that thick. It was a weapon, basically. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
So I couldn't research something online. So when you factor cable TV and the internet and technology, people are going to research you whether you want them to or not. So the one thing I realized is I wanted to be more on the offense rather than on the defense. I'd rather someone research us on the front end, and then if they come in, guess what? You think they're interested? Yes, they are. I would much rather that than someone not know what they're coming into, or when someone says, what's it about? The financial industry. But you'll learn more when you come in. Just be here. I would rather them know more on the front end than something like that. Guess what I'm saying? So to me, it was more offense than anything else. And we'll talk about it. It doesn't replace doing one-on-ones. You obviously saw that with Neil. It doesn't replace BPMs. All it does is it just basically, it prepares them for what they're doing. And you'll see, I don't want to spoil some of the slides I'm going to get into. But first one here is why do financial professionals need videos? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. When Dan Sullivan was interviewed about this, he said there's no doubt that video has an enormous impact. Its usage is growing exponentially. Surveys confirm it has a positive impact on marketing results. This was mind-blowing by Cisco.
Wow.
That 80% of the world's internet traffic will be video by next year.
Wow.
How many of you own a car? How many of you watched a YouTube video on your car before you bought it? About half the room. Does it work?
Yeah.
You know what it does is it gives you an experience like you're there without going there and wasting your time.
Right.
Now does it make sense to you a little bit differently? So if you feel that way, why would your general public or your prospects be any different than you? That's exactly how they feel. Here's the thing, they don't want to, why are people skeptical? I don't want to get my hopes up and then be let down.
That's right.
That's all they're trying to tell you. They're just like you, okay? So, including a video on your homepage can increase conversion by rates of 20% or more. What if your business went up 20%? That'd be cool. Well, 75% of users visit a company's website after viewing a video. That's pretty interesting, so you gotta have a presence. Visual data is processed 60,000 times faster than text by the brain. 60,000 times faster. And then viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in a video compared to 10% when reading it in a text. So if these aren't enough reasons, look at this one. A minute of video is worth about 1.8 million words, according to a very reputable source, which is not Angelo Guerreri Incorporated. Okay? It's Forrester's research. So I mentioned the playbook, and we're going to talk a lot about the videos here. There's many different videos that we have, many of them. End of Wealth and Retirement talks a little bit about the retirement issues, the market. It talks about the income opportunity, which is about 1.5 minutes of the video. Well, if you don't want to recruit someone, well then what about the How Money Works video? It's the exact same thing without the recruiting component. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. There's a Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life, which is a 2-minute video. It says 3, but it's 2. And then my kids love that one. It's got the little cars and it's animated. It's awesome. It's great. Yes, sir?
Do these videos have a caption?
Yes, 4 languages. Yes, and I'll show you how to do that. If I can get online, I'll show you how to do that. And then we've got the perfect wave. So how do you play this? If I'm trying to interest someone in our business, remember, I don't know if you're a fit for us or if we're a fit for you, but I'd love to learn more about each other. Every appointment I have, they get a video before I meet them. Because here's the deal. I'd rather them cancel so I can go run another appointment than show up and say this was a waste of my time. Every client that I meet with, I send them a video before I meet with them. Every IUL that we've ever closed in the last 2 years has had the IUL video played before, during, or at the end. I show them how to share it, and they share it to their top 3 friends before I leave their house. What's that called? Referrals. And that's called referrals. I don't even have to call. So what happens is, and here's how it usually works. I call them, did you watch what we sent to you? What do they say? No, I haven't gotten around to it. Great, can you watch that? I'd love to come out and meet with you. Let's get together. They watch the video before we meet. You got to confirm everything. You got to follow up. And we'll talk more about the video here in a second, but there's many ways to leverage this as you look at it. I met one of my neighbors. We moved into a new home last year. One of my neighbors plays for the Bengals. He's a linebacker. He said, well, welcome to the neighborhood. What do you do? And I said, well, we teach people how money works. How do you feel you're leveraging your money right now? And he said, well, I feel I could have been done a little bit better. I said, well, let me do this. Let me get your number. I'm going to text you a 3-minute excerpt of what we do, and I sent him the Rule of 72 video. 4 minutes later, he texts me back. The video's 3 minutes. He texts me back 4 minutes later. When can we do lunch? And then I showed him the article here last week of Jim Harbaugh. Anybody seen that Forbes article that talks about the IUL and how Jim Harbaugh, the coach of Michigan, used that 7 years of $2 million funding for 7 years? I said, hey, brother, I don't know if this is for you, but I know you do well. I know Jim may do a little bit better, but maybe we can sit down and talk about this. What's the worst he can say? No. And then guess what I sent him? Swiss Army knife. Here's the thing. If I don't have to talk, and I can be at my kid's t-ball game, and they can watch a video, and then I can follow up with them later, and it's the same result, why would I not do it? So it's more time, it's efficiency, and my income went from 155 to where it is now. We're looking to hit CEO and 500,000 at the end of this year.
Where are you at right now?
What's that?
Where are you at right now?
330.
330?
So we're looking to hit 500. And the crazy thing is, I don't have an enormous super base. We don't have an enormous base shop. We're not recruiting 3,000 people a day. We're not. And I'm not here to fluff you guys. I'm just here telling you, here's what we're doing. Okay?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Just, the gentleman you asked, how do you feel about how you're leveraging your money? Which video did you send him?
Rule 72.
Rule 72.
Rule 72.
Yeah. And take a guess if he knew what the Rule 72 was.
He didn't.
I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people have no clue what the Rule 72 is. Or if they do, they have no clue how to make it work for them.
Yes.
So, and I always tell people, look, you got two choices. You can either make the Rule of 72 work for you or work against you. If you got a credit card debt that you're not paying off, it's working against you.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
You set a time with them.
I'll get to that part. I'll get to that part. I'll get to real specifics here in a second. All right? So let's talk more about video. It sets you apart. When you proactively are sending a video, it makes you look awesome. I don't know how else to say it. I know some of you guys look awesome already. More awesome than others, per se, however you want to look at it. But this just makes you look so much cooler. What attracts you to go to the movie theater?
Preview.
The trailer. All you're doing is sending out a trailer. You're not replacing the BPM. You're not replacing the office experience. You're not replacing the environment. You're magnifying it. That's all you're doing, is you're magnifying it. You're saying, look, baby, you're pumped. Wait till you see what I'm going to send you. You like that? Wait till you meet Angelo. Wait till you meet Anthony. Wait till you see the success we've got. I don't know if you're a fit for us or if we're a fit for you, but if you're lucky enough, maybe we can get you in here and get this thing going. I'll give you 100% if you give me 100%. You guys see where this is going?
Yeah.
But you've got to have that just precision when you're hitting it. So the video sets you apart. This is huge. I haven't, since I've been using this, I have never heard, I looked online and I saw.
Yeah.
And if I do, which I haven't, but if I did, I'd say, well, I don't know where you looked, but let me show you where to look.
Yeah.
And then I would send them the information.
Oh, that's good.
Okay? I don't know where you looked. Or my attorney said, well, great. I mean, Aegon's got hundreds of them. They're worth they're worth a few $1 billion. But I'm glad your attorney cracked the code. Have fun with it. Seriously. This is just, and once again, you're not talking people into doing something. The key is, though, credibility. We're going to talk a ton about this. What you say is perceived. God, this is so important. What you say is perceived as a sales message. Remember, if somebody comes into a BPM or you're sitting down with them one-on-one, they're expecting a sales pitch. I do not care if you think otherwise. I did too. They're expecting you to pitch them. It's just, we got to get through that. So, what a video says is perceived as an accepted fact. It gets it right every time. How many people feel that you've got at least 10 people on your team that can give a first appointment, second appointment, close, and a BPM as good as you? Yeah, me neither. That's why I'm using video. How many people can push a button, copy it, paste it, and say, check this out, I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll teach you exactly what to say.
Yeah.
And then that's my interview. Here's what we're going to do with your first 10. Send them this. Tell them I'm looking forward to you meeting with my partner. When's good to meet next week? Done. Next one, next one, next one, next one. And then if they don't do it, am I going to work with them?
No.
No.
No, it's easy. It's easy. And then you know the best part is the ones who say, well, I'm just not ready yet. I don't want to do it. And then they complain because the new person who did it is kicking their butts. Interesting. Interesting. It hits all the right notes. It avoids, Angelo and I were laughing about this one. Tangents. Nobody gets on tangents, do they? And you know the more tangents that you get on, the less duplicable you have become.
He's working on it.
And it never forgets to close. God, that's so strong. I'll give, like I said, I'm trying to hold myself back. This one's big. I mean, how much time do you